All right, 12 out of 21. We're getting there. We are moving right along. Ant-Man. So Ant-Man was originally supposed to be an Edgar Wright movie, but they kicked him off the project because they didn't want an Edgar Wright movie, even though Edgar Wright wanted a Marvel movie, but let's not get into that. Plot of Ant-Man is this guy named Scott Lang went to prison a while ago for doing some electronic shenanigans. Gets out of prison, he's like, yo, I'm gonna try to find a job. It ain't that easy. Well, I'm gonna get tricked into doing a B&E for a guy named Hank Pym. Who's Hank Pym? The original Ant-Man. He can't do it anymore, though, because he's old. But there's this bald guy named Darren Cross who wants the Ant-Man technology so that he can sell it and become the most powerful and wealthy man on the planet. But Hank Pym doesn't like that, and neither does Scott Lang once he finds out what's going on. But he's not really all that emotionally invested, but it's too late because he's been chosen to be Ant-Man, so he has to help, even though Hank Pym's daughter, Hope Van Dyne, doesn't want him to, because Scott's kind of stupid, even though he has a master's degree in electrical engineering. This movie's quirky, though. It's fun, it's cool, it's funny, but not like cringy funny like the first two Avengers movies, like actually funny, because remember, there's still traces of Edgar Wright in here, so that like sequence where Luis will be telling a story and you get to like see it in real time as he's talking and he's narrating all the characters speaking, that's an Edgar Wrightism. I know it is. That was in the script before he left, and they decided to roll with it. There's a lot that gives this movie identity, though, like Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly and Michael Douglas is one of my favorite actors of all time. He's a legend. He's a classic. He's here to stay, I hope. But this movie hits the same snag that a lot of movies hit, where they try to explain things scientifically, because they explain shrinking as decreasing the space between atoms, which, sure, but wouldn't it just be better to say that your atoms get smaller? Because here's the thing, if you're shrinking your space, then your density and your mass would still remain the same. So you can't shrink a tank and use it as a keychain the way that Hank Pym does in the movie. You can't land on top of somebody's gun like Scott does in the movie, because you would just pull their gun straight to the ground, and then because you're still a 200-pound man on top of somebody's gun. You also wouldn't be able to shrink between atoms like you need to do later on in the movie. Also, Darren Cross becomes Yellow Jacket, and he's the villain of the movie, even though Yellow Jacket was an identity that Hank Pym had. Whatever. The music in the movie is like decent enough. It's not overly memorable, though. It's like I'm actually having a hard time remembering Ant-Man's theme song. Do 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 do. That's how it goes. Overall, though, I don't find this movie overly fantastic. I don't really find it too bad. It's not super memorable, I guess. It's like it's a cool little funny thing that you can watch after Age of Ultron if you really felt that emotionally scarred by watching Quicksilver die. But like I said before, there's some knockout performances in this movie, and that's what really make it enjoyable to watch. But it's not really something that I'd say is a must-watch when you're going through the MCU. In fact, when I did the video about which MCU movies matter, I didn't mention this one because it's just not that important. I imagine they're trying to change Scott Lang's relevance in the MCU in Avengers Endgame, but we won't know that until we see it happen. So between now and then, I just have to say Ant-Man wasn't super, major. Nothing vital to the universe happens in this one, I guess. The villain is stale. The climax of the movie isn't all that exciting. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to say that the movie's bad, but I also want you to understand that it's not overly good. But as to not waste my or your time, let's go ahead and rate this bad boy. Ant-Man was worth the price of admission back in 2015. There you go. Yeah, let's just say this was definitely a blue period of films in the MCU. It's like Captain America: The Winter Soldier, everything. Captain America: Civil War and Doctor Strange, everything. Avengers: Infinity War. I don't know. I'm sorry. Ant-Man, since it's 4 years old, I'm pretty sure you've seen it by now. So if you have seen it, what did you think about it? If you liked it or disliked it, let me know in the comments. And I will read them because I read every comment. So bye now. Click the screen.